All right, welcome back, guys. This will also be a part of this last Sunday's lesson. So be sure to listen to this one. It'll be fairly short as well. While we won't be reading any parables, this is just good information to have leading into the trials that we're about to start going over and be prepared for this coming week's class. And so we're mainly going to be over in Matthew 26, verses 1 through 13. However, the same thing is going to be found in, let's jump over to Mark 14 here. We finished 13 in the last one. So Mark 14, 1 through 9, and then as well in Luke 22 in 1 and 2. So this is just a really short, right? Obviously, just a short explanation there. And the same thing over in John 12. John 12 is just 2 through 8, so also just a short little area. So we'll be reading out of Matthew, and we can read John 12, 2 through 8 as well. We haven't been in John a lot. We're actually almost done with the three synoptic gospels. As you can see, there's only a couple of chapters left. But over in John, we actually have almost 10 chapters left. And so John has the majority of the end of Jesus's life. And so after we do these first couple books here, today's video will be spending a lot of time in John. So let's jump over to Matthew 26, and we're going to be in verses 1 through 13. All right, verse 1. Now it came to pass when Jesus had finished all these sayings. So, all these sayings, that's the Olivet Discourse. Okay, that's all of Matthew 24 and 25. That was all one consecutive thing that happened, event, right? Okay, that he said to his disciples, you know, after 2 days is the Passover, and the Son of Man will be delivered up to be crucified. So remember that the days start in the evening and go to the following morning, right? So technically the Friday crucifixion began Thursday night, what we would call Thursday night. So it's Tuesday, right? That's what we just finished talking about in the last chapter. Okay, and it says, and after 2 days, this will happen. So you've got Wednesday, Thursday, right, going into Thursday night going into Friday, right? So it can seem a little bit confusing. It's still the Friday, Saturday, Sunday as we know it, right? It's just that their days ran a different cycle: Thursday night to Friday, evening to morning, and so that's how it's Tuesday and then in 2 more days. So anyway. Son of Man will be offered up, delivered up to be crucified. And so another thing about his specific wording here isn't that he'll be delivered up to be killed or his life taken, right? It's very specific to be crucified, and this is specified the way that it is because it fulfills prophecy. So, from the Old Testament, of course. Then the chief priests, the scribes, and the elders of the people assembled at the palace of the high priest, who was called Caiaphas, and plotted to take Jesus by trickery and kill him. But they said, not during the feast, lest there be an uproar among the people. This goes right along with what we've been reading through the last several chapters. They're worried about what the people think of them, right? Many times they wanted or plotted to take him, kill him, stone him, beat him up, all the things, right? But they were worried about the people. And so, because there's still a lot of people that support Jesus, whether for the right reasons or not, believe that he's just some prophet, right? Don't even necessarily support him as their Messiah. They definitely wanted the approval of the people. Now, you have your chief priests, right? Your scribes and the elders of the people. So, this is going to be a group of not just the Sanhedrin. Okay. You've got all of them here. So you've got your Sadducees, which was primarily the priests, right? So you have scribes, you have the Pharisees, you have elders of the people. So you have many. Okay. And this word palace is something that you can highlight, take a note of. This Greek word, this is not the castle like palace that you and I might envision. This is more like a courtyard. And so it's kind of a bad translation into English the way that our minds and how we think of, and even in movies, it's portrayed incorrectly as well. If you've seen movies about the crucifixion of Jesus and stuff, where they're meeting, it makes it look like they're in this big temple room and it's this big, beautiful thing. And so this is more like it's in an outside courtyard where this is happening. And so, of course, they plotted to take Jesus by trickery, right? And it's plotting. So that's the conspiracy, right? That's what to plot means, right? They're going to commit a conspiracy against Jesus, right? And they're trying to do this secretly, right? And so that's where the plotting and the trickery comes in, the secrecy, because not during the feast, right? Lest there be an uproar among the people. And so obviously there will be thousands upon thousands of people there for the Passover. So, moving on to verse 6. And when Jesus was in Bethany at the house of Simon the leper, a woman came to him having an alabaster flask of very costly, fragrant oil. And she poured it on his head and sat at the table. But when his disciples saw it, they were indignant, saying, "Why this waste? For this fragrant oil might have been sold for much and given to the poor." This story should sound familiar. We've heard one just like it, right? And then we have um, Judas Iscariot, right, who is the one who actually answers and talks about it. But let's continue to read. But Jesus was aware of it, and he said to them, "Why do you trouble the woman? For she has done good work for me. For you have the poor with you always, but with me you do not have always. For in pouring this fragrant oil on my body, she did it for my burial. Assuredly, I say to you, wherever this gospel is preached in the whole world, what this woman has done will also be told as a memorial to her." And so, I mean, he's telling them that she's going to be remembered forevermore, right? And so, let's jump over into Luke 22, and we'll just read verses 1 and 2 here, because that's all it is as far as the chronology goes. So, now the feast of the unleavened bread drew near, which is called Passover. And the chief priests and the scribes sought how they might kill him, for they feared the people. And so, um, I just wanted to read through. Yep. So we're going to move on into Mark. Let's check out his 1 through 14. Um, this is the same thing. However, I wanted to see when he gives the name, and that might be okay. So Mark gives a little bit more information, and it's the same. Um, like I said, it's the same as the story we've heard before here. And it says, "But some who were indignant among themselves, saying, 'Why was this oil wasted? For it might have been sold for more than 300 denarii and given to the poor.'" Right. And so he gives the same answer, of course, but that just kind of tells you how expensive this is. This would have been close to 1 year's wages. And so that gives you a concept of what it would have meant to save for this particular oil. Now, over in John 12, 2 through 8. So this one is gives a little bit more information. So we're just going to go ahead and read it because it tells us the who. Um, and so we can kind of put them all together and gather the story. So, verse 1. Then 6 days before the Passover, Jesus came. We're not actually in verse 1, excuse me, verse 2. There they made him supper. So remember, he came into the home of Peter the leper, right? Made him supper, and Martha served, but Lazarus was one of those who sat at the table with him. Then Mary took a pound of the very costly oil and anointed him. So now we've been told, anointed at the feet of Jesus, wiped his feet with her hair, and the house was filled. So we know that she anointed his body, right? His head, his body, his feet, right? We know that she did it with her hair. We know that this is Mary, right? This is the sister of Martha and Lazarus. These are his very good friends, right? So now we have more than just, where he was at this house and this happened, this woman did this, right? We have the who. And then, of course, the specific disciple who called him out is Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, who would betray him, right? We just give all that, all his secrets away right there, right? Um, and he it's clarified again. He said this not because he cared for the poor, but because he was a thief and he had the money box and he used to take what was put in it. Just imagine being Judas. But we wouldn't want to. We talk about the shame that he faced. Remember, he went and killed himself after he betrayed Jesus. So we know that his heart was greatly, greatly affected. And so anyway, he gives the same but shorter answer here, right? That she did this to keep a day of my burial. And so that finishes up where we're at in the chronology here. That was a short little video, but that will lead us into being prepared for this Sunday. So I will see you guys in a few days.